All right, so move on to the next segment. I'll be sharing my thoughts on the New Orleans Saints firing former head coach Dennis Allen. So, yesterday we saw the news break. Yesterday morning, the news broke in the NFL out there in New Orleans that Dennis Allen was fired by the New Orleans Saints after starting the season off 2-7. And this was a season that the New Orleans Saints started off 2-0. They found themselves in my top 5 teams after the first 2 weeks of football, and they found a way to lose 7 straight games in a row. Dennis Allen went 18-25 as the head coach for the New Orleans Saints since taking over for Sean Payton, which we all know who was traded to the Denver Broncos a few years ago in 2022 when Dennis Allen took over the team. So I'll be sharing my thoughts on Dennis Allen being fired. Now, I got to say, this was obviously the right call for the New Orleans Saints to let go of Dennis Allen and fire him, relieve him of his duties, because Dennis Allen is a good defensive coordinator, but being a head coach, being a leader of a locker room, being in charge of a team, that's not his bread and butter, and he's not obviously good at it. This is the second time that Dennis Allen has been fired in his NFL career. Just got fired by the Saints after going 18-25 since taking over for Sean Payton in 2022. He was fired by the Raiders years ago, a decade ago. So it's not a good look for Dennis Allen. He lost the locker room completely. They started off the season 2-0, but lost 7 straight games in a row. Veteran players have checked out a long time ago with this team. You had players crashing out after they lost to the Panthers. Cam Jordan tweeting and apologizing to Carolina Panthers, to New Orleans Saints fans for losing to the Panthers. Michael Thomas beefing with Derek Carr. Michael Thomas not even on the damn Saints anymore, but it's just a mess with players going on Twitter, not being focused on the game. And not only that, but this Saints team might as well go into rebuild mode. I mean, they have veteran players that are past the prime of their careers, like Cam Jordan, for example. He's washed. Derek Carr, I've always thought that Derek Carr is overrated. Marshawn Lattimore was just traded to the Commanders today. Honey Badger and Demario Davis, they should have been veteran guys that should have been out of New Orleans by the trade deadline, but they still remain there. And the Saints should just go ahead and embrace the rebuild. I mean, it's sad that it didn't play out the way that they thought it would with bringing in Derek Carr. They thought they were one quarterback away when Drew Brees retired, and they finally got their guy in Derek Carr, but it didn't really work out for them. And I understand that Derek Carr missed some games this year, but regardless, when he's in the lineup, other than the first 2 weeks of football, and you go back to last year, he really hasn't been an X factor for this New Orleans Saints team, has he? But I don't know what direction this team goes in. I mean, for the rebuild, you can rebuild around guys like Chris Olave. They're good wide receiver that they still have. Alvin Kamara is still going to be there. He's playing at a really elite level at the running back position this year. At being a good pass catcher and running the football, because he just signed a 2-year extension with the Saints. Other than that, you might as well let these veteran guys go during free agency. Get something in return from him. Trade away Honey Badger. He's still got some juice, but he's not that prime player anymore. Demario Davis is one of the most underrated linebackers in the NFL. I'm not saying he's washed, but a veteran guy like him should go out to a place where he can actually contend for a Super Bowl while he still has some juice in his tank. Cameron Jordan is washed, and I think he will probably retire with the New Orleans Saints. But I'm not sure what the future holds for the Saints team. I'm not sure which future coordinators could accept this job. I'm talking guys like Ben Johnson that's going to be looking for a new job, offensive coordinator for the Detroit Lions. He's going to be, it's obviously a no-brainer. He's going to have an NFL job next year. Brian Flores, someone that has been a proven commodity to be an NFL head coach again, defensive coordinator for the Vikings, has done a great job with that defense. Robert Saleh, even though he's not a top candidate for anybody, I don't see any coordinators or any coaches available that's going to take this New Orleans Saints job. And it's going to be a big mess to clean up. I mean, they don't have the best cap situation right now in New Orleans. What players I'm being honest, what players really want to pursue a job out there in New Orleans right now for the New Orleans Saints? A team that has a lot of veterans. The quarterback position is a mess. Derek Carr, like I just said, he's personally overrated to me. Spencer Rattler, when he was in the lineup for Derek Carr, you saw what he could do, and he was benched. They got a lot of holes to clean up in New Orleans. I don't think this is a job that a lot of people are going to be jumping at the gun to get next year for once their season ends. But hey, it'll be an interesting scenario to see what's going on in New Orleans. But I do believe they made the right call firing Dennis Allen and relieving him of his duties out there in New Orleans for the New Orleans Saints. So those are my thoughts on Dennis Allen being fired by the New Orleans Saints.